Hello, I'm Irma Baker. Welcome to our show. We're sponsored by Mature Services, specifically RSVP, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, which is a part of Mature Services. And if you've seen the show before, you know that we focus on individuals and organizations and opportunities here in our viewing area. And today we have our winter guest, the one that we look forward to seeing every year. So stay tuned right after these messages from our sponsor.
RSVP of Summit County has been making a difference in our community since 1972. RSVP volunteers are increasing the quality of life by participating in programs and organizations that provide important services to the community. RSVP matches personal interests and skills with opportunities to serve. If you're interested in adding more meaning to your life and improving the lives of others, please call 330-253-4597, extension 166.
Welcome back. Our guest today, one of our favorite guests, is Robert Fenn from Social Security. Robert, it's so great to have you back again.
It's a pleasure. Happy New Year to you.
Well, Happy New Year to you, too.
Thank you.
And I love it that at this time of year you can always come in and tell us what's happening with Social Security, what's changed, what we need to know. So tell us, what's new?
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity. Each year, Social Security, when we start the year, I look to find out, are there going to be any changes? And in this year, in 2017, there have been some small changes in regards to Social Security and how we have our calculation for our benefits, for our credits, and there's some changes for the Medicare. The first thing I like to make sure I cover is that these changes are only given if there's a cost of living adjustment. Now, many individuals know by now that there was an increase in the Social Security payments by 0.3%. As a result of a 0.3%, that also has an effect on other things, such as the amount for a credit, meaning that each year an individual works, there's a dollar amount which Social Security uses to say whether or not they have earned a credit. In 2016, that dollar amount was $1,260. This year, if a person makes $1,300, they earn one credit. So if I make this is the maximum amount you can make each year, 4 times $1,300, so roughly $5,200, an individual works, makes $5,200, they have their 4 credits for the year. Now that 4 credits can be used to get to their 40. So when someone reaches 40 credits, normally it's an average around 10 years, then they're eligible for their Social Security retirement benefits. That leads us to the next thing in regards to the changes is many people ask us, well, can I work and still receive Social Security benefits in terms of retirement payments? Well, this year, there's a new dollar amount in which Social Security uses. We call it an annual earnings test. And that dollar amount that we're looking to see whether or not you have retired or not, and this year, coming in 2017, that new dollar amount is $16,920.
So what you're saying is that someone who is old enough and eligible for Social Security can still, in addition to Social Security benefits, earn a little over $16,000 a year and not be penalized for it.
That's right, Ms. Baker. I'm glad you pointed out because many times when I'm out in the public or if I'm answering questions through emails, one of the things that people ask is, well, I'm thinking, well, since it's retirement, that must mean I'm no longer working. And since I'm no longer working, that means I can still get my check. So they think the opposite. If I do work, it will stop my check. Not necessarily so. It all depends on how much work the individual is doing. And again, when I say work, I'm looking at where the person gets up each day, Monday morning, and they're headed off to work, getting a W-2 or if they're self-employed. That's what I'm referring to. Some people will ask the question, what if I have a retirement pension or if I have stock income or rental property? None of that affects the individual's monthly Social Security payment. It's the actual work. So it's
only if you are in some kind of occupation, I'll say, though it may not be, it can be of course it'd be part-time, but you're either getting a W-2 or a 1099? That's
correct. And in that dollar amount, again, is $16,920 in 2017. Now, again, that is an increase from $15,720 last year. Now, let's say someone is turning their full retirement age. And for those who are watching the show, I want to make sure you know that your full retirement age is based upon the year you're born. So when I say full retirement age, for those who were born between 1943 and 1954, his or her full retirement age will be age 66. So let's say someone was born between those years, 1943 to 1954, and they were turning 66 in 2017. That dollar amount that they're allowed to make increases. Instead of that $16,000 amount that I just gave, it goes to $44,880. Now that's an increase from last year was $41,880. So that's an increase of $3,000 that they could make without it affecting their Social Security payments. And what's
now, what you're saying, that's only for the 1 year, though, isn't it?
It is for that year that they're turning to full retirement age. You're correct. Now, what's very interesting about that is that it's not just for that full year. It's when the person reaches their full retirement age. The example I'll give is that let's say someone turns 66 June 2017. Social Security is only going to be concerned with January through May. Even if their birthday was June 30th, we're looking at January through May. Are they going to make more or less than $44,880? Now, in my opinion, $44,000 just in 5 months, that's not a bad income, right?
I was just thinking the same thing. Boy, I wish I ever had a job where I made that much in 5 months.
That's right, so that's not bad at all. So just between January and May 31st, if a person says, I'm not going to make more than that between January and May, that means that they could, if they have not started, they could start receiving their Social Security benefits as of January as opposed to waiting till June. Now, we will show them those options because people do know that if they decide to file for their Social Security benefits prior to reaching their full retirement age, in my example was June, they turned 66, but they want to file for their Social Security payments in January, that may lower their payment amount, the monthly amount that they're receiving. So in June, they could have gotten $1,000, but they elected to have benefits in January, so maybe $950. Now, we at Social Security, we don't guide someone to picking which one, but we will give that information. This is the amount for January, this is the amount for February, March, April, May, or June, whatever they decide, and they will allow them to make that decision. Now, once someone reaches their full retirement age, that June on, it has no effect of them working. So they could be making $1 million a month. June on, it has no effect at all on their Social Security payments. Now, of course, that could change depending on their tax brackets, and they have to refer to IRS. And maybe they should contact you and I, since they're making $1 million a month. We need those types of friends, right? So.
Yeah, I'd say, I'm trying to think, who do I know who makes $1 million? I'm having a blank there.
That's right. So they need to reach out to us as soon as they get that.
But I think there's one important point there, and you pointed it out, and that's if you were to elect to get those Social Security benefits in January, and there was that, hypothetical $50 difference.
Yes.
That would not go up to $1,000 a month when you turn, in June, when you actually turn.
Excellent question.
What you choose to accept is what is permanent, isn't it?
Yes, and so I'm glad you brought that up because you're correct that Social Security payment in the example I used was $950. That check amount would stay the same unless there's a cost of living adjustment, which we started at the beginning of our conversation here. If there's a cost of living adjustment, it would affect that dollar amount. Now, something I'd like to make sure I point out, since I brought up that topic, people ask, well, I heard there was a 0.3%, and I know the reality, the real word is people go, 0.3, that's all it is? All right, after they get past that, then they go to their calculator, and they type in, okay, what is 0.3% of my Social Security payment? One thing I want to make sure people understand, that 0.3% is added to the amount as if they are age 66, if that's their full retirement age, and then we do the reduction if they took their Social Security payments prior to age 66. So sometimes their math through that calculator may not come out as accurate because they're using their amount currently, the $950, as opposed starting at the $1,000, take the 0.3%, and then there's a math calculation which we use, and then we get down to the actual Social Security payment because they what we call a reduced Social Security payment. So I just want to make sure all those who are listening, why is it my math figuring out the same way as what this letter says? So that could be the reason why.
Wow, it sounds like Social Security needs a lot of mathematicians involved in.
There's some smart people involved, no doubt about it.
Well, are there any other changes that our viewers ought to know about?
Well, the maximum taxable amount that is deducted from someone's salary, that has changed. Meaning that if a person worked in 2016, you would have a Social Security tax all the way up to roughly $118,000. In 2017, that amount has increased to over $127,000. So that means you would still have Social Security taxes taken out all the way up to $127,000.
Now, when you say Social Security taxes, you're talking about that FICA deduction?
That's what I'm talking about. Each year, it's a 6.2% goes toward the FICA tax, and the 1.45 goes toward Medicare. Medicare taxes continue through life. You know, person works, there's a continued Medicare tax. Now, since 2013, I will add, because we have some very savvy viewers, and they will know that if someone is making over $200,000 as an individual, there is an additional 0.9% added to that Medicare. Now, I know that the majority of individuals may not make over the 200 grand, but there are some individuals who do. And yes, they may see a difference of a 0.9% towards that Medicare tax.
But that's only in that particular bracket, which is
correct.
Maybe not what most of us are in.
Yeah, not here. Certainly not here.
Certainly not here either.
Yes.
Well, are there things, you talked a little bit about when you reach full retirement age, and if you elect to get a couple months earlier in that year, things like that.
Yes.
When you're talking about applying for Social Security, what is, or I should say the benefits, because we're all enrolled essentially. Most people are enrolled in Social Security. When and how is the best way to apply for those benefits when you become eligible?
Yes, thank you. And I'll piggyback that. I'll tie that question towards, people will ask the question, when should I do it? And how's the best way? Normally they go together. And now at Social Security, our role is to always give the accurate information to that individual based upon the questions that they have asked us or information we believe that they should know. Now, so the earliest age a person can file for their Social Security retirement benefits is at age 62. Now, let me make sure I say this, that a person has to be 62 for the whole month before they're eligible for that payment. So if someone was to talk to me in the public, and they're over here at the Wadsworth Senior Center and they say, hey, I'm thinking about filing my Social Security retirement benefits, one of my first questions is going to be, are you working or when are you turning 62? So if they tell me I'm turning 62 in February, well, February is the month they turn 62, but March will be the first month in which they have been 62 for a whole month. March's check could be paid in April. So what we do at Social Security, we say 3 months before that April date, then you can talk to us. So 3 months before April will be January. So they talk to us in January, and then we'll ask, well, are you working? And we'll ask what their salary is, and that's where I will bring up the $16,000 amount that I mentioned, and that dollar amount is what we'll use to see whether or not they're eligible. So it all depends on their age, and I'm going to go on the assumption that they have already worked at least 10 years, so they're eligible based upon their work. Then we're looking at their age, and then we're going to look at their current work if it's over that $16,000 amount.
I won't say most, but I would say many people work a lot more years than 10 years. So how does Social Security figure when they look at your working income? Yes.
Social Security, again, each year we're going to use the dollar amounts, find out what your credits are, then those credits add up. Then we're going to look to see if you have at least 10 years. However, as you noted, Social Security is going to use your top 35 years over your lifetime. Top 35 years. Now, I'd like to make sure I add that to this thought, is that not only we're going to look at your top 35 years, but we're going to do that for life. Meaning that if an individual starts receiving Social Security payments, we pay them a certain amount, whatever that may equate to for them, then they decide to go back to work. So you could have a viewer who is already collecting Social Security payments, and they've decided to go back to work. Now what we do at Social Security is we will see, we get that information once they file their taxes, and our records will pick up the fact that the money that they're making now, if it's more than the years that we used to figure out their Social Security payment, it could increase. So a simple example I would say is that if a person made $1,000 every year for 35 years, retired, started collecting a Social Security check, we pay them, they go back to work and started making $2,000 a year. $2,000 amount will bump out one of the $1,000 years. Now conversely though, some people have worked those $1,000 amounts, 35 years, retired, went back to work and started making $800. $800 is less than the $1,000 amounts, so it would not increase the Social Security payments. So for anyone who's watching our show right now, they will say, hey, I've been working. Why isn't my check increased? Well, if you're making less than what we used to figure out your Social Security payment, could be the reason why it did not increase.
But it wouldn't, the reverse of that
Right.
wouldn't be an issue if they started making the $800 instead of $1,000. It wouldn't decrease their
It would
payment.
not decrease the Social Security payment. Very good point. It does not decrease the Social Security payment. It just, if you will, it just supplements their income. That's why many people go back to work, whether it's they're used to working 40, 50-hour weeks, and they say, hey, I need something to do with my time, or I like what I did and I want to continue that. And so that's what that income would be for them.
Well, for many people, retirement is the time they go off and take a job doing what they want to do or always wish they could do.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, you never know. That's the interesting part of my my career, instead of saying job, is that I meet so many interesting people. And in whether it could be someone who comes in who was a farmer or a CEO of a company, or someone who helped raise the family, or someone who said, you know what, I'm more artsy. Either way, Social Security is there for those individuals. You know, for them to, we calculate their benefits, send them their payments, they receive their payments, and then they make their decisions from there.
You know, when you were talking a couple minutes ago about the top 35 years of working, I'm thinking, boy, that really is an advantage, because there are so many people. For instance, I'm thinking of women who had a career, maybe took off some years to raise a family.
True.
And then the kids are in school, they go back to work, and they work maybe a total of 40 or even 45, 50 years. So they're really not penalized for taking off that time, because it would be their top 35 years, not when they were making more money.
It's truly a great benefit to know, as you said, that there are many individuals who have started maybe their first job at age 16, 17, whatever it may be. Along came life, you know, and then now the individual has decided to not work outside, but work in the home, right? Because this is still work. And that individual could say, well, I'm thinking now that I have done what I wanted to do, raise the family, now I want to start another career. Well, that individual, those earnings are still going to be calculated. We still hold on, if you will, to those past earnings when they were 16, 17, whatever it may be, and give them their top 35. So that's a great thing.
It really is a remarkable system.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that was introduced a few years ago is the online capability of My Social Security. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes. In prior years, you know, we at Social Security would receive questions, whether it's through the telephone or whether it's through coming into our local offices. Individuals wanted to have another means of accessing information, such as their My Social Security statements. So Social Security has what we call a My Social Security account. Now, they can go to our website at socialsecurity.gov, G-O-V, very important. Look for that G-O-V if you're going to type in any type of search engine. And My Social Security accounts, what they are is that My Social Security accounts are tied with the credit agency. And what happens is when an individual goes onto our website, look for the word My in red lettering. You click on that, and then you will be asked a series of questions that only you should know. Okay? I've done it before. It asked me certain questions like, did I ever live on 5 different streets? I picked the correct street. Did I live in a house that had 2, 4, 6, or 8 bathrooms? I put 8 just to make myself feel good, but then I went back in. Click the correct button, which is 2. Put the correct number, answer those questions, and now I have my own account. Now I have this, even though I'm not receiving Social Security benefits, but it allows me to view my Social Security statement. And once someone is receiving Social Security payments, we're coming on to the tax season, and let's say someone wants to receive a Social Security 1099, that statement can be viewed online now. So they can get that document and print it out, whether they're filing their taxes. If someone wants to change their phone number, that can be done, change their address, or maybe they need to replace a Medicare card, that could be done there. All of this is in that My Social Security portal. Now, Ms. Baker, I must also inform you there's something that's new. There we have over, I believe it's 13 states now, in which individuals who have a My Social Security account, they can now have a replacement Social Security card done online. Now, again, this is only for 13 different states. I know that Pennsylvania and Michigan are two of those states. Now, Ohio, we're very competitive against both of those states, right? So I know eventually this may be an option for those who are in Ohio. Now, this is not for someone who's just a newborn. Mm-hmm. It's for someone who is already U.S.-born citizen who's looking to replace their Social Security card. So this portal, My Social Security, is a great option for many individuals.
Well, let me ask you this, because all that information, that is such sensitive information. How secure is it? How do you know that it's okay to go out and look at that?
Yes, yes. And well, one, I will say this in terms of Social Security. Any program which Social Security is going to administer, it is never given out to the public until there's a high level of comfort. There's a huge encryption. The highest level of security is always emphasized and at the foremost for any program that which Social Security uses. And in fact, for that, we have over 20 million individuals who have already signed up this year for that Social Security, My Social Security account. So it's very safe, very secure, and very easy.
What advice would you give to people who are concerned about that information? I know that you said it is very secure, and I'm really amazed at just how well it works. I mean, I'm on it too. I've got my account up there. But I think still people may be concerned. Mm-hmm. What's the most important thing they should know?
First I will say this. It is just another option. Social Security will still be there for the individual, whether it's to make a phone call at 1-800-772-1213. They can still go, into our local offices, whether that may be here in Akron area or Medina area or in the Cleveland area. They still have that option. But we have found that many of our beneficiaries are looking to access information in another way. If I can take us back just 10 years, go back to 2007, there were individuals who had not retired, but they had access to a computer, whether it's through their job or through family members. So they're quite aware of using the systems. Now, in terms of Social Security, again, we emphasize that our program is not going to be promoted to the public until we have a huge level of comfort level. And so many people, if you recall, I remember some years ago that we were very leery to give our phone numbers out. Yeah. Someone will ask you for your phone number, you take it back, I don't want that in the telephone book. Now that's a thing of the past, right? So there was a time where you're kind of leery about your bank account. This is now, we have over 90-some%, I think that number is close to 97% here in the state of Ohio, of beneficiaries who receive a Social Security payment is direct deposit. But I know that there are many people who were a little leery of that prior years. Mm-hmm. So I guess in time people become more accustomed and see that everything's going to be okay.
Well, it's certainly great to realize that Social Security is on top of all this technology and able to work with it so that we can feel secure about our Social Security. And we only have, I just looked at the clock, and as usual, we just talk and have a wonderful time, and the time just flies away. So in the minute or so that we have left, what would you like to leave with our viewers?
Well, I hinted on the My Social Security account earlier, and I talked about the statements. I want to make sure people do know that there has been a suspense of that Social Security statement. So Social Security is not mailing them out unless you're age 60. If you're age 60, then you're going to get that Social Security statement one time per year. Or if you've already opened a My Social Security account, then that Social Security account statement itself can be given to you. You can get that back online. So we are not mailing them out at this time, but you still can go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, register a My Social Security account, and then you can review your statement as much as you want, print it out, save it, whatever you wish. So socialsecurity.gov is our website. That I encourage everyone. There's a lot of information there. Use the menu box or hit the search button. Any questions that you have regarding Social Security, many of it's going to be found there. Many answers.
Robert, it's been such a pleasure to have you with us again this year. I really don't want to wait till next year to have you back, so we'll have to try to find a time when we can have you back. And thank you, everyone, for viewing our show today. We hope it's been helpful. I'm sure it has, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for viewing, and please do remember our sponsor, Mature Services and RSVP.
Since 1971, RSVP has been matching volunteers' talents to community needs. RSVP is affiliated with the Corporation for National and Community Service, a national organization that supports service and volunteering through grant-funded projects. Volunteers organize neighborhood watch programs, tutor children, renovate homes, plant community gardens, assist victims of natural disasters, and serve their communities in many other ways. RSVP offers maximum flexibility and choice to its volunteers as it matches the personal interests and skills of Americans 55 and older with opportunities to serve their communities. If you're interested in adding more meaning to your life and improving the lives of others, please call 330-253-4597, extension 166.